Hey man, welcome, cats. Hey, it's Robert Green. We're back with Outside Leverage Podcast, Get Buck Podcast from here going forward. Uh, we got a crazy matchup coming up here, week 7 on Sunday. NFC South Division title for the lead, and at least temporarily on the line against the Atlanta Falcons. Joining me tonight, I've got two big Atlanta Falcons fans. Jordan Watkins, native of Atlanta, huge Atlanta fan, and we'll go by the name Charlotte. Apologize. Somehow, some way, and we'll get into what you think of the matchup. Jordan, Toxic man, welcome.
What's going on, man? Appreciate you having me.
Yep.
Man, I had to have both of you guys, man. I met Young Toxic Tornadoes, as the screen name goes. Met him through a Discord for the NFC South chat. Just kind of pretty much like a trash talking kind of a deal. Also, just relaying a bunch of information between all the divisions teams, and just kind of getting a feel for what everybody feel for their team in the moment. And Mr. Watkins, we had a conversation about this when San Francisco joined into our Mutual Friends podcast. Dan, both of you guys, Jordan more so than Toxic Twins. Jordan, you've had a lot of thoughts on everything going on with women and how they're headed so far. But just first off, just give me a little bit, man, to give folks a rundown how you became a fan of the Falcons.
I'm sorry, could you just repeat that? You're cutting out a little.
Yeah.
Oh, apologize. Yeah. So real quick, I was just checking in and just give me a rundown as to how you became a Falcons fan and what you as a Falcons fan.
What was that second question?
Am I still checking? Going in and out?
Yeah, it's going in and out.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Might sure this is something just going on with the stream or the service itself. All right, let's try this again. Check.
So far, so good. Yep.
All right, so Jordan, just tell me how you became a Falcons fan and what kept you a Falcons fan.
Yeah, I mean, coming from a family in the South, football is everything. So, I mean, from my earliest memories, we were going to Falcons games in the Georgia Dome. So, from the whole time I was going, growing up and through high school, I was at every single Falcons home game. And that's just how my whole family, mom, dad, myself, that's what we always do and what we always would, that was like my that was my fall home. Turner Field was my summer home. All the sports teams in Atlanta, we just would support them and go through. So now that I'm out here, I live in the Bay Area, it's almost like that love for all my Atlanta teams actually has gone bigger just because, that's kind of how I relate to home and being at home through my team. So, it's just grown. And, now I get to cover some stuff for the Falcons too, which is pretty cool through the Falcoholic, which is their SB Nation page. All that good stuff. So.
Cool. Toxic Tornadoes, bro. How did you become a Falcons fan and obviously having to stay a Falcons fan being in the Carolinas?
Yeah, it's actually a pretty funny story. I'm from Carolina, surrounded by Panthers fans, mostly grew up watching them, but it was just one day I saw them play. I thought, those jerseys look pretty cool. I like the name Falcons, and that was pretty much all there was.
Man, you see, you following them from the jersey. Yeah. Die-hard jersey following fan.
I love it.
Hey, any way you get there, I guess, man.
Right.
Any way you get there, don't matter, I guess.
I stay dedicated to that team. Oh, sorry.
I got to mess with both of y'all. Then how do y'all both feel about the latest iterations of the uniforms? Then, if you became a fan because of the jerseys, what about the FUBU the FUBU rendition of the jersey?
FUBU.
You might be 12. You may not be understanding.
That's a throwback one right there.
Oh, throwbacks. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I had no problem with the ones that we had before, right? When we wear the cherry red tops back at home, the ones that Vic first brought in, and then Matt Ryan and all them wore them too.
Mm-hmm.
I had no problem with those, but I do like the fact that we started wearing some of the throwbacks, right, with the red helmet. Those are always a good look. I know we lost in them last week, which was unfortunate, but I mean, the jerseys kind of grown on me. At first, I'm just like, all right, whatever. This looks kind of basic, but now I'm cool with them.
Yeah, I don't. I don't think the new uniforms they're not great, not bad. I don't mind them really. I do kind of miss the having the red jersey. I would have liked to maybe see that come back as an alternate, replace that awful gradients. But I do love those throwbacks. I think they're some of the best in the league, and I would not mind if those became the default jerseys.
Yeah. Well, Jordan, you were talking about losing in y'all's throwbacks. We did the same thing last week to the line. Mm-hmm. Mad as hell about that. We actually look like the throwback BUCS of days of old, not being able to put a point on the board. So I get it. Yeah, it's a bad thing. So Jordan, like I said, man, earlier, I followed you and kind of see how, and I follow your takes on Twitter and so forth. Now, you actually played college ball.
Yep.
When you're looking at this Atlanta team now, or in the sports team now, do you look at it from a defensive perspective, or how do you gauge how you actually watch the team? Are you able to watch the team as a normal person and then kind of like assess what happened after the fact, or do you look at everything in real time like a defensive player? And when you answer that, just go ahead and let the folks know, about your playing ball in college.
Yeah, for sure. So, I played at Stanford from 2012 to 2017, 3 Pac-12 championships. We went to 3 Rose Bowls, won 2 of them. Might have heard of some of my teammates before, guys like Christian McCaffrey, Solomon Thomas. Those were some of the dudes I was with. And actually, I was in rookie minicamp with the Falcons too after I graduated. So that was a pretty cool moment there. Being a Falcon for that was about a 3-day span or so. So that was really cool. But to answer your question, usually, I mean, I guess it depends for me, like what team am I watching, right? Let's say, for example, if I'm watching the 49ers or I'm watching the Eagles, these teams with really good defenses, like even the Falcons to an extent this year as well, right? This is one of the better defensive teams that they've had. I'll try to think of the game and watch the game from a defensive mindset. Usually outside of that, I think of it more so, I guess, just whatever the strength is, right? If I'm looking at the Dolphins, I'm looking at this more so of like, man, how are they designing all these athletes? How are they designing all these fast dudes to get open in space like the way they do? So it just kind of really just depends on the team and how they're built, which is how kind of determines how I watch it and analyze it.
Okay. So just go straight to both of you guys, and just start with the team of the Falcons. From your perspective, I just want to know what do you think of the Falcons right now, what they put out on the field and the expectations going into this week and then going forward.
Yeah, started chopping up again.
What is going on there? Yeah, this high. As far as the state of Falcons, going into this weekend game against the, how do you guys feel right now with what you guys have now? And like, what's the expectation around that route you guys have?
You ask about expectations for this team?
Yes.
I think better than last year at minimum is what I'll say.
Yeah, I think that's fair because it was what 7-10 last year, and that was not a very good roster. And you spent all this draft capital, all the free agent money finally that we had this year to improve. And so, yeah, losing record this year, especially with how the schedule is shaping up right now, is inexcusable. I really was thinking and hoping when we before the year started that we could be 4-2 going into this game. But we just had some situations in those 3 losses where you saw how good it could look one week and then it looks terrible one of the next week. So it's just trying to find that consistency. And obviously, I wish I could say either we're consistently good or consistently bad, and then you go from there. But it's just so up and down, week to week, quarter to quarter, that it's really hard to sometimes gauge exactly what this team is.
Yeah, Desmond Ritter. Desmond Ritter has been, he's been doing a lot more than most people will have expected him to do coming into the season. I mean, we only got a glimpse of him the last few weeks of last season, and he came into the league as a third round pick, and then people kind of relegated him to being a running quarterback, which is a terrible label that they've been given. Most black quarterbacks, non-white quarterbacks, but that's the label they gave him. And right now, that dude is like top 15 as far as pass attempts, for better or worse. It's not like he's doing terribly, but he's passing more than our Baker Mayfield for the Bucks. Like he's got like 205 pass attempts, if I'm not mistaken. That's up there. That's top half of the league. Like, what have you guys seen from that guy, and how do y'all feel about him?
I think, just to put it simply, he's just an average quarterback. It was a third-round pick, didn't exactly have a lot of expectations, and it looked good some weeks, bad the next. I just don't think you can have too high expectations of him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I mean, you can really just look at these last 2 weeks as a perfect example of that, right? He comes out and balled, when in what I felt like was a gotta have it game after you lost the way you did to Jacksonville. But then you come back out, this past week, and even though he threw for a lot of yards, that the turnover bug came up again in this game against the Commanders. So there's got to be somewhere in the middle. And like I said, to Toss Tornado's point, even if he is just an average quarterback, that's fine for this team with what they are right now. But again, it's got to be consistently average. It can't be, I look great this one week and then work bad the next. I mean, he's still up there. I believe he might still lead the league or be second in the league in turnover worthy passes. And, that's a number that just only went up so much. Again, with the interceptions that he threw against Washington. So gotta find a way to cut those out.
Now, these interceptions that he's getting, or he's getting close to having. I mean, from your perspective, are these pressured interceptions, or these clean pocket interceptions? Do you feel like his accuracy is just off? Because in Tampa, we know about having a not bad quarterback, but terrible quarterback throwing interceptions left and right. And I can promise you, a couple years ago, we had a quarterback who was throwing clean pocket interceptions like it was nobody's business. Is that what you guys saying from Desmond Ritter, or is there a reason for some of these passes that?
I do think the line has been not great. If you watch the game, he was getting pressured almost every snap in some of those early games. Certainly not doing him any favors, but last game, some of those just looked straight to the defenders, and I think some of that just has to be all on him.
Oh, did we lose him? There we go. Okay. I'm sorry. Were you still going, or?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a bit of everything, but I think Ritter also just needs to be better.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
I was gonna say I completely agree. I mean, look, this offensive line, which what I was hoping was coming into this year would be a potential top 5 offensive line unit in the league, has not done that this year. Obviously we brought back Caleb McGarry at right tackle. He had a rough go, especially the first few weeks. And then, but it's been a little bit of everybody every time too. Jake Matthews has had struggles. I mean, Josh Allen for the Jaguars, I think, had 3 sacks lining up against our left tackle. Drew Dahlman, our center, has struggled, especially if you have some bigger D tackles or noses at time. We got a rookie at left guard. And even Chris Lindstrom, who's one of the best guards in the league, always struggles against Derek Brown when we play Carolina. So it's been a mix. There were some things with Desmond Ridder. I was watching a video where mechanically sometimes it's just his inaccuracy is just it's weird, right? And a lot of times I think too it's played in the part where if he does have some bad games, he's not really doing a good job of leading guys so they can have some of those yak opportunities. But there are other times where we lose him again. Let's see. Toxic Tornadoes, you still got me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, there he is.
There we go. Okay.
Yes, yeah. This. I don't know what's going on with this internet in the hotel. It's going wild. Make sure. Okay, yeah, we're still going. I apologize, man. Your last point there, you're saying that you don't think that he was doing enough to place the ball where your receivers can get yards after catch.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing too. The Falcons, as everyone knows, they have some big targets, right? Drake London, Kyle Pitts, even Cordero when he's out there, all these 6'3" and above type guys. So you just got to get it on the frame and they can make some things happen. But when he's on, like I've seen Desmond Ridder make some really good throws this year, but when he's off, it's a little iffy.
Joe, give me one more.
Yep.
Hey, Joe, give me a mic check if you can.
Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is it coming through?
Nah, it wasn't. Give me one more. Hey, try it again.
Okay. Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like on my end that it's going through. I see the levels.
It's going to the wrong speakers. We'll continue this way. All right, cool. All right, so again, man, I can attest to having a quarterback like that and seeing that. And for a few years, and that guy would just literally put the ball either behind him or like right on them and not be able to lead them, elsewhere to get yards after the catch, because that's a dangerous way to get a receiver hurt if you don't do it the right way.
Can you hear you?
What do you guys see as like the biggest positive?
This hotel back on the dial-up days. Let me send him a message. I just sent him a message.
Okay.
Okay, now it's moving.
Yeah, I just got your message. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Man, I apologize. I'm not sure what's happening there. See any areas where you feel like you have an advantage against Tampa from what you've seen?
It said, and we have where we have, or places where we might have an advantage. Okay. Yeah, I think the main thing for me is, we're starting again at the end of the day. We're finally starting to get somewhat of a chemistry with our big targets on the outside. So, I think the biggest thing I'd love to see for us to do and be able to do a little bit more consistently with that, though,